Boyfriend hacked my Snapchat account repeatedly, accusing me of cheating after a friend's drunken kiss left me with a visible bruise. I have been dating my boyfriend, 20 male, since September 2017, but we have been seeing each other since June 2016. We are long distance, 6 hours apart by car, and see each other about once a month if we're lucky. We have had a lot of ups and downs, but ultimately we care about each other and just want each other to be our happiest and healthiest. I posted earlier this week about an incident that happened this past weekend where an old friend of mine tried to kiss me. He was drunk and initially tried to kiss me on the mouth. I pulled away, and he again tried to kiss my neck, leaving a bruise. I bruise incredibly easily as I have very fair skin and poor circulation. The entire incident lasted no more than a few seconds. I did not expect or want this to happen, and I thought the friend in question knew I had a boyfriend. I actually thought he also had a girlfriend up until he kissed me, so it definitely caught me off guard. Once I firmly expressed to him I wasn't interested and had a boyfriend, he backed off, and the rest of the night went normally. I don't have any plans to hang out with this friend again. The next day, my boyfriend was already at work when I woke up, where he has limited access to this phone. I planned to FaceTime him and tell him what happened when he got off work. However, he noticed the bruise on my neck in a Snapchat before I could tell him myself. I hadn't even noticed it was there because, as I said, it was no more than a few seconds and it didn't occur to me that there could even be a bruise there from so short a time. He called me when he finished work, and I explained what had happened, but by that point he had been stewing over it for over 5 hours, and was furious with me. I understand that I shouldn't have put myself in a position where someone thought I would be receptive to a kiss, but I also can't control other people's actions or the past, and I have been trying to earn his trust back since. However, he remains absolutely livid. In other news, for the past few years, my Snapchat account has signed me out constantly on my phone, forcing me to log back into the account sometimes as frequently as multiple times a day. I submitted several maintenance requests to the app, and Monday they notified me that they had sent a customer service email to my spam email account, which I seldom use, and hadn't looked at in years. When I signed into the account to view the email, I noticed several other emails from the app over the past year. Most notably, there were a series of emails from August 3rd to 6th, 2017 informing me that someone had connected to my account on those specific dates from a specific location in a neighboring country. My boyfriend and a few of our mutual friends happened to be on vacation in that exact place on those exact dates. We were not dating at that time. I have confirmed the dates of that trip with someone else who was there. Nobody else on that trip goes to college with my boyfriend, or within 75 miles of there. Getting fearful, I went on the Snapchat website and downloaded my data, which basically gives you all the data the company has stored about your account over a certain period. This data included the location history of where my account has been accessed for the last 2 months, with each data point consisting of a date, time, latitude, and longitude of where the account was used. It revealed that dozens of times over the last 2 months, sometimes as often as multiple times in the same day, my account was accessed from where my boyfriend lives. These data points are very specific, 3 decimal points, and correspond to directly over his house, various buildings on his campus, and other places in his college town that he frequents. They all are on dates that I was definitively in my own college town, 400 miles away. You can actually watch me and whomever fight for control of the account, with me signing in 1 hour, then it's signing in from his town the next hour, and us going back and forth for a while. The data only goes back 2 months, but the emails and pattern of Snapchat logging me out, which is their attempt at security, when you log into an account on one device it force logs it out on all others, indicate that it has been going on with this level of regularity for over a year. I confronted my boyfriend about this as soon as I found out. He was initially indignant, then horrified once I presented him with all the evidence. He empathically maintains that it isn't him doing it. He can't provide any other explanations, and his best guess is that he is being framed, although he has no idea by whom. He has said a few times that if I need to find an explanation, he'll let his reputation take the hit, because he loves me that much and hates to see how this is hurting me. He has now also shifted the conversation back to the incident from this weekend, and is saying that what point would he have to lie, because he thinks I fucked someone else anyways, which he had not told me before that he thought. This is an especially sensitive subject for me because 2 years ago, I was most likely hurt by a very close friend, but I have only been able to put together what happened after the fact, based on other knowledge. Not having a clear answer or knowing for sure about what happened then absolutely tore me apart, and still fucks with me immensely. My boyfriend knows all this, and helped me through all the fallout of that. I don't want to believe he would lie to me after seeing how much not knowing what happened there destroyed me. Snapchat is my main method of communication for a lot of my friends, and I save all my direct messages on the app so that I can reference them later. For over a year, someone has been going through my photos, my messages, seeing who I talk to, and watching me without my knowing, and I can't find any other explanations for all the info besides that it was my boyfriend. To not know what happened here will absolutely destroy me, and he knows this. I so desperately want to believe it's anything else, and I want to trust him, like I want him to trust that I didn't sleep with my friend, but I just can't find any answers. My question is, does anyone have any other possible explanations for what could have happened besides the obvious? What should I do now? And how can I convince my boyfriend I didn't sleep with my friend without compromising my feelings here? Update 1. I posted a few days ago about finding an overwhelming amount of evidence that my boyfriend of 1 year had been signing into my Snapchat account off his phone for over a year, yet when I confronted him about it, he claimed he was being framed. He also accused me of sleeping with a friend who made a move on me that past weekend. I asked here for any other possible explanations for what might have happened besides the obvious, and for advice on how to prove to him that I didn't have sex with that kid. Everyone here told me I was out of my mind to think it was anything else, and that it didn't matter what he thought of me, that he was violating my privacy, and that there were no other possibilities. I realized y'all were right, and I came up with a plan. I met my boyfriend in a diner, and got there early and told the waitress what was about to go down. I then set my laptop up with all the evidence I had amassed, and waited for him to show up. When he got there, he was combative, and initially tried to accuse me of sleeping with that kid again, but I effectively took over the conversation pretty quickly, and said into my speech. I took him through every piece of evidence that incriminated him, of which there is a lot, asked him if he still thought that he was being framed, and he denied it a few more times. At that point, I told him that in our state, what was happening constitutes fourth-degree felony stalking. There was too much evidence for it to all be technical glitches at this point, so either he was stalking me, or someone else was stalking the both of us. I told him this was his last chance to come clean to me, or if he still said it wasn't him, we were going to go get in my car, drive to the police station, and turn the case over to a detective, at which point it will be investigated, and whoever did it will be charged. I told him that once I turn it over to the police, however, it's out of my hands how it gets handled, and there will be consequences for whoever did it. He said that he wasn't going to the police station, and said again that he didn't do it. So, I stood up, put on my coat, and said we were going to see a detective and file a report right there because those were his only options left. He pulled me back down to the table, and finally, confessed. It was him. It started 2 years ago, 7 months before we even started dating. We were casually involved at that point, and friends, but not dating or exclusive. He said it started because he wanted to know whether I liked him, and it, and I, became an obsession for him. He has checked it multiple times a day, every day, for our entire relationship, including when I was with him. He read all my messages, which I saved through the app, as I use it as my main form of communication for a lot of friends, gone through my photos, and kept tabs on who I was talking to. The conversation was terrifying. It was like I didn't know him. He was cold, cruel, and didn't seem even the smallest bit remorseful. He tried to blame it on me quite a few times, then blamed it on his trust issues, then blamed it on himself being fucked in the head. It was so unbelievably out of character for him that I would have thought this was his shitty audition tape for an episode of SVU and said was a bad performance if I hadn't lived it myself. He also tried to manipulate me into not going to the police or any of our mutual friends, citing that he had nothing in his life, except me, but I guess that didn't matter so much. He said that I could just move on from this, whereas he would have to live with this for the rest of his life, which should already be punishment enough. He then tried to tell me that I owed him not to tell anyone else, because I ruined his life when I gave him an STD, which I got when I was attacked by a former friend, which was easily cured, and which we discussed at length where he reassured me that it wasn't my fault. Oh, and he knew that I didn't sleep with that guy, because he read my conversation with him wherein he said, "Hey, I'm sorry about last night, I didn't know you had a boyfriend and I never would have tried to make a move on you if I had known." He just said that to try to make me defensive and so flustered about something else that I dropped my investigation into the Snapchat thing. He even quoted my own conversations back at me. I made him sign a paper where he wrote out what he did, just in case he wants to go back on his word later. Then, I left. So, it's over now. I've blocked him on everything. I actually cried when I blocked his number, sad as that is. All that's left is to move on. I'm debating on whether to tell our mutual friends or not, because honestly, I'm resentful that he tried to manipulate me into not doing so, and I don't feel like I owe him anything at this point. Anyways, thanks for all your help. Edit, holy shit, this is a turnout. I went to bed last night and worked today expecting to see a few responses. I mostly just updated because I hate when people don't update. Thank you so much to everyone for all the support. I've taken the advice of most people here and told a few trusted friends. Their response has been kinda disappointing, sort of a boys will be boys mentality of well now you know you're better apart than together, just give it time. I'm hoping they'll come around. I understand that it's really hard to reconcile such a psycho thing with someone you care about, and like I said, this was so out of character for my ex. For now I am not going to go to the police, because I don't think I could handle that right now. I go to school 400 miles away from my hometown, I wouldn't be able to come back and forth often to deal with an investigation, and I just don't think I could deal with the emotional strain of having aggressive strangers tear my life the rest of the way apart. But I have changed all my passwords, done force logout where applicable, and saved all the evidence against my ex on a few different locations. My ex got my password because he saw me sign into something once when we were hanging out and remembered the password I used. Once he had it forever. To all the people who called me out or had questions about the STD, shout out to the guy who said I belonged in prison. I'll tell the story. Mods, sorry if this violates rules. Over 2 years ago, I had only been with my ex. He's actually the only person I've ever been with. We weren't dating at the time, just casually hooking up. One night over a break home from school, I went to my former best friend's house to catch up. I had 2 drinks and passed out, which I had thought I was just tired, but now I suspect I was drugged. I slept on his couch that night, just the 2 of us. I woke up the next morning kinda sore but didn't really think anything of it, went home, and didn't think of it again. 2 months later, another friend came to me and told me that she had fallen asleep at that friend's house just days before I did, that he had spiked her drink, and she had woken up in the middle of the night to him having sex with her. She froze, left when he went back to sleep, went to the hospital, got a kit done, and tried to move on with her life. She never went to the police because this friend's family is very involved with the police in our area, and police response to $issue at L@SS adult is a joke anyways. She told me because I was going to visit him and she wanted me to be safe. I tried to support her as best I could, and cut that friend off, but it didn't occur to me that anything could have happened to me. Months later, I came up positive for chlamydia on a routine STD check by my obgyn. That's when I put all the facts together, and realized what happened, although I never got closure or a sure answer. I always used protection with my ex, but that doesn't guarantee anything. I didn't knowingly give him an STD, or even know that I had it. Chlamydia is curable with a single antibiotic, and there were no lasting physical effects on either of our lives. Now on to second story. Sister cancelled our wedding date again after announcing her pregnancy, and now my family wants me to prioritize her wishes over mine. I'm in a bit of a weird situation. My fiancé and I aren't the most traditional and wanted to have our wedding as more of a family vacation with the bonus of a wedding. My parents have a beautiful lakefront house that we decided to have our wedding at. When we were initially planning our wedding and figuring out dates, I wanted to have it on June 26th. The 26th was important to us because that's the day my fiancé and I first met, but when speaking it over to my family, my sister said no because she already had a vacation on that date. I was sad, but it wasn't the end of the world, so we decided on June 4th to June 9th. Everything was working out perfectly. I let both of our families know to put our wedding down for those dates and started wedding planning. It was all perfect until last night. I got a FaceTime from my dad who showed me the ultrasound and I was super excited. All of the congratulations, jumping around because I'm going to be an auntie. I'm so excited for them and for my future niece or nephew. But it all came crashing down when I asked my sister when she is due and she said May 1st, so we're going to have to talk about your wedding. I assumed she just meant that she wasn't going to be able to be in attendance. So I told them that it's okay, we can just FaceTime them in, and her jaw dropped. Then my mom said we can just push it back to September. I knew my emotions would get the best of me, so I said we can talk about it later, so we went back to congratulations and thinking of baby names. After the call, I can't lie, I had a bit of a breakdown. I already moved my dates once to accommodate my sister, which was all fine and I didn't push back on it. But after 7 months of planning our wedding around this date and having my fiancé family plan around it, I don't want to change it. Unfortunately, I know my family and they will push for me to move it and will disrespect my decision not to. I know traveling with a newborn baby is going to be hard, which is why I offer up FaceTiming her in, but it seems like that's offensive to them to not want my sister to be present at the wedding. I feel so insanely guilty about being upset over having to change my wedding dates because my sister is pregnant. She's bringing a beautiful new family member into our lives, but I'm still a bit heartbroken that if I don't change the wedding date that I will be seen as inconsiderate and an asshole in my family. So am I the asshole for not wanting to punch back my wedding because my sister is pregnant? Commenter. NTA, I'd move it back to the 26th because that's the day that matters to you and your fiancé. Now she'll only want to go if she can bring the baby, or she'll probably try and get you to move it even further, saying so she's not traveling with a newborn. Obviously people are going to be upset no matter what you do or don't do, but all that really matters is you and your fiancé, because the moment y'all are married you're each other's main priorities and no one else should matter when it comes to what you both want. Oop, I'm very scared of that. Since she is going to be a first-time mama, we don't know if she's going to have PPD/PPA or if baby is going to have colic. I'm scared that if I do push back our wedding to August or September and then she still can't make it/wants us to push it back even further, I will resent and distance myself from her. I love my sister so much, but she is definitely the type of person where it is her way or the highway, and my parents just go with it because that's just how she is. Commenter. Tell us, why /our sister is the golden child without saying it? Oop. My sister is the golden child of the family. It's not really a secret or tried to be hidden. She's extremely involved in the family, visits them every weekend, while I live across the country so I only visit them typically once a year but do FaceTime them regularly. My parents are also very money driven and my sister is a doctor in comparison to my brother and I who do trades. She's the definition of the perfect child. She also typically plans all trips, vacations, or outings for my family because she's extremely type A and likes to have control situations. She's a bit stubborn and likes things her way or not at all. We've always just gone with it because it's easier. I expected my wedding to be the line, but I guess not. Update 1. I called my brother the day after I made my post. He understood where I was coming from and told me that I should absolutely not change my wedding date. So since I was worried about speaking to my mom and being ganged up on, we planned on when to speak to my mom about not wanting to change my fiancé's and I's wedding date so he could be there to talk to my mom on my behalf, and my emotions got the best of me. That didn't happen. My mom called me the next day to talk it over. I informed her that I was not going to change my wedding date and she was upset initially but surprisingly receptive to it. I was extremely happy about that until she said you need to talk to your sister about this because she's not going to be happy about being forced out 1 month postpartum. I explained I wasn't expecting/forcing her to be in attendance. Then my mom said no, she's coming to your wedding, I don't care if she's a new mom. After that I got in a bit of an argument with my mom about her forcing my sister to do something that isn't the best for her and her future family. Which I ended hanging up on her. I don't take being spoken to in a harsh tone easily and will tell the other person to take a minute to reevaluate their tone and come back. During the call she also let slip that she was also extremely disappointed in me for going to my brother for support instead of her and said I was just creating family drama for no reason. Which it is what it is, I needed a family perspective, which is why I called my brother. I ended up trying to call my sister the next day, which was declined. So I texted her and informed her that I would not be changing my wedding dates. It was a lot longer of a text, explains reasons and emotions. She replied a day later, with you and I both know that your wedding dates aren't officially set and the only factor would be communicating the change to fiancé's family. I hope the hassle is worth having my and your literal niece or nephew's presence. I explained that I have already ordered/put money down on multiple things as well as having my fiancé's family planning/accommodating around this date for 7 months. She was not receptive in my opinion and said there are really no excuses. You have the power to move the date even just a little later in the summer to include me and you're choosing not to. That hurts. Which I ended up responding that I'm not choosing to not have her at my wedding but understand she may not be able to come and will have to FaceTime in instead. As well as explain that I already moved my wedding date once to accommodate her. I asked her to try to put herself in my shoes and how she would have felt if I asked to push back her wedding. Which she replied I would have moved my date in a heartbeat. That's the difference between us. At that point I decided to offer up pushing it back to the 26th of June as some comments said to see if she would still be going to her previously planned vacation, which thank God I did because she told me she couldn't do the 26th as she's still going to go on her vacation 20 days after my wedding. I'm not the most knowledgeable about babies since I don't have one and have only known my BFF's baby, but I don't feel like there are a huge difference between traveling with a 1-month-old and a 1.5-month-old. So that solidified in my mind that she doesn't care about me/my fiancé or our feelings but still expects everyone to accommodate to her. At this point, as per my fiancé's advice, I'm putting it in the F it drawer in my head and I'm not going to stress about it anymore because everyone knows the date is set. If my family would like to show up to my wedding that would be amazing, but if not I'm not going to be upset. At the end of the day this will just show me who to prioritize as family in my life, because family is not always blood. Update 2. As I said in my previous update, I stood strong and told my family I was planning on keeping my wedding dates. Which didn't go well, but at least I had my parents' support on it. Everything was as calm and relaxed as it could be. My sister hasn't talked to me since the conversation, but I figured she was just pissed off at me and dealing with everything involving pregnancy. But getting to the hilarious part of this update, 2 days ago we got a FaceTime from my fiancé's sister-in-law showing us 2 positive pregnancy tests. She's due first week of June, aka when our wedding is. My fiancé and I did all of the congratulations and excitement because once again first grandchild and baby in the family. After the call my fiancé and I just looked at each other and busted out laughing. Not only is my sister having the first grandbaby on my side, but his sister-in-law is having the first grandbaby on his side, all within the month before/during our wedding. Like, what are the chances? My fiancé and I have always had bad luck with planning things, aka why we're planning on a relaxed chill wedding instead of a big extravagant wedding. We had a few minutes convo and it ended up with us agreeing on, in my finances words, fuck this, let's just elope. So that's exactly what we're doing. Like I said, we aren't traditional and honestly we were just doing all of this for our families so they could feel included and have a fun time at the lake house. But with all the babies and 9 out of the 14 people who are invited not being able to attend, my sister and Bill, Hermil and Bill, my fiancé's mom, dad, and little sister, and his brother, and Sil, why even have the whole wedding thing? So we're going to the courthouse on June 26th, the date that I originally wanted but wouldn't work with my sister's scheduled vacation to go get married. We're going to keep the photographer that we have a deposit down on and just switch from wedding photos to just a couple shoot. We're also still planning on going to the lake house and just take it as a pre-honeymoon. We've already let all of our family know the whole wedding thing is cancelled. My side is relieved and his side is sad because they don't have an opportunity to celebrate us as a couple. But it just wasn't what the universe wanted, and we'll plan something in the next couple of years to get our families all together and celebrate. Maybe one of our anniversary. Honestly, I can't even be upset because it's so comical that the one major event we've been planning on doesn't work because of everyone getting pregnant and being due around or during our wedding. But at the end of the day we're getting married and getting some adorable lil nieces or nephews.